In this video, I'm doing a comparison between an authentic Old Face Magenta Teddy versus a counterfeit one. The authentic Magenta Teddy is on the right, and he is a much more of a magenta pink color versus the counterfeit, which is more of a purple magenta color. Big difference in colors of these. One of the first things I notice are the facial features on the authentic versus the counterfeit. The authentic has a V that comes down, smaller V comes down to a smaller nose. Whereas you look at the counterfeit one, he's got more of a flatter face, which the V coming down the middle of his face is farther apart, which pushes the eyes out. Plus his nose is much bigger, and he's got chunkier cheeks here, and the stuffing on here is very stiff compared to the authentic. Another thing that I notice right away are the eyes. You can see how big and bubbly the counterfeit teddy is with the eyes, whereas these eyes on the original are more pushed into the fabric. Plus you can see how the authentic, the nose is more protruding out, more like a European style teddy versus this flat look to the counterfeit teddy. When I look at the back of the teddies, on the authentic it has the V on the neck where it connects to the body. This one has one seam and then connects down. Also, you can just see how the counterfeit is very poorly made, just the way the ears are. This one is like kind of flat and comes down, whereas on the authentics the ears are more round and they're just placed onto the teddy in a much nicer position. Next, I look at the tags. On the authentic tags, this is a different type of a second gen. There's several variations of second gen tags. This is very typical of a second generation tag where the font and it's got the style number to and from on here. On the counterfeits, there's some blaring things that are wrong right away. First of all, the cut of the tag is very different than an authentic. I noticed the dye coming through, bleeding through right by the holes there. All the print and everything is pushed up. It's not spaced properly. But another big thing I notice is right up here the date. It says 1983. The original tags or the authentic tags would have 1993 as a date. The other big thing I notice is the punctuation off to the left here. It has a capital LTD. On the authentic tags, it's an uppercase L, a capital L, with a lowercase t and d. So that's something right away that you can spot. If you do see all caps, you know it's counterfeit. The density of the tag, this tag is very thin and it's very pliable compared to a tag that's very stiff. On the back of the tags, you can see that there's just a slight variation in font. Very hard to tell, but if you know what you're looking for on the font, you can tell that there's a slight variation. The other thing I look at is the Tush tag. All Old Face Teddies came with a black and white first generation tush. The only copyright date on these tushes can be 1993. The other thing I notice on the originals is you look at the word handmade. There's a slight space between the word hand and made. When I compare that to the counterfeit and I look at the word handmade, there's a bigger space than the original. Right here you see there's just a bigger space. But the other big thing that I notice is when I look at Ty ink, it has one period. On the originals or the authentic ones, it would have a period and then a comma. We'll take a look. Take a look here. It has a period and a comma. So these are just some slight, very punctuation, just spacing, things to look for on the tush tags that you notice right away. So once you're looking for the certain things, you can notice them right away. But just to recap, on the Old Face Magenta Teddy, first thing I notice is the color variation differences. Then I look at the facial features. On the magenta is very thin, comes down to a smaller nose. The fakes have a flatter nose, wider V coming down, big eyes, big nose. On the back of the teddies, you notice on the authentic, it comes in a V. The counterfeit is straight line. On the fake, some of the punctuation and spacing and just the way the tag is cut on here, you see that right away. First thing I notice is the die that's in here. I see a copyright date. I see the font's wrong. I see the capital LTD, which should be a capital L, small t and D. Then on the tush tags, the tush tags should all come with a black and white first generation tush tag with a 1993 copyright date.